And now to join us to discuss more on this, we now have a policy implementation consultant, Taiwo Osanyin. Thank you so much, Taiwo, for joining us, and good afternoon.
Thank you for having me. Good afternoon.
It's a pleasure. Now, Taiwo, what's your take on the government's decision to arrest the organizers of the protest and the sponsors, especially of the protest, especially those who are in diaspora, and freeze their accounts? What do you think of that?
Well, it's unfortunate and preposterous that we have such situation happening today, spanning from yesterday and other previous days, after the president had once said that people should dialogue and leave the street instead of protesting. So the question that will be asked in the real sense will be, is this the sort of dialogue the president has been requesting from the people through freezing accounts, arresting leaders of protesters and whatever? So it only shows that, and it only re-echoes what the citizens are saying, that the statement of the president does not span any sort of hope, but it's more of like a threat in the real sense of it. You said, as a GCFR of the country, you said protesters should come to the negotiation table. And days after, we are seeing protesters being arrested, protesters being accounts being frozen, and whatever. So it's that there's a disconnect between what the president is saying and what is happening in the real sense of it. I haven't said that. It is actually very dangerous. Why I'm saying it is because it's dangerous because this protest was initially announced, and government had a bit of ample time to actually take very clear view of it. Well, many people may say that the protest has been hijacked by some miscreants and some criminal element, which is true, which we've seen in some parts of the north. However, if we have seen those such happenings, then it is sad that the DSS, who had once announced a week before the protest that they were perceived hijackers of this protest, did not do anything, which we're supposed to have done, arrest people. It was even alleged by the DSS at that time, before the protest even started, that there were some international sponsors who were actually on the verge of taking over government and what have you. The DSS did not take any arrest, any immediate proactive step in that measure. Now it is reactionary. We see them invading NLC offices and what have you. Well, it only shows that we have a disconnect between what the government says and what the government does.
And how would you say, or in your opinion, how do you think that this crackdown on organizers, because we've been talking about democracy for the longest time, how would this affect the future of political dissent and free speech in the country, especially when it comes to the implementation on the democratic institution?
Well, unfortunately, we are going backwards in our democracy, and this is going to create a bit of agitation amongst the populace in the real sense of it. We're going to have a lot of legal implications on this. We're going to have a lot of back and forth in the judiciary. A lot of cases have been submitted, a lot of counter cases and what have you. So that's on one end. But at the same time, the implication is going to be that people would still speak. There will still be need for freedom of speech. And while people will speak, what is going to be more enormous, which is very dangerous, is the fact that if this continued hunger persists for a longer period, a more critical protest might even happen. And this is where the problem may begin. And that is my fear for this government and for this current country, because it might be beyond what this current happening. And that is my fear. I'm afraid that any other protest may even not go even haywire than what we have currently today, because it continues to crack down people. People are hungry. People are angry. There is no future of promise. The hope is bleak, and everything is happening in the same scene. And then you expect people to keep quiet. That is not going to happen. Certainly, it's not going to happen. I would advise the government that people who have been arrested should be immediately released if there is no any criminal attachment to what they've done. Accounts which have been frozen, if they do not have any connection with any misnomer or any hijacking of government or whatever, they should be immediately unfrozen. And then for those who have been culpable in terms of any criminal element towards this protest should be properly prosecuted. But unfortunately, we're going to have a reverse of this situation. We're going to have innocent Nigerians arrested, being in detention, nothing is happening, account goes to be frozen, and people who are even culpable, who are the criminal elements in this protest, will be released. If some of them have not even been released, if not have not even been released, that's the unfortunate fact. So they'll be released in no time, in a very short period of time, and then the innocent Nigerians who actually protested against the end bad governance would actually be in detention. That's the ironical part of it. And then where do you breach trust? Then it still goes back to what I said earlier. There's a disconnect between what the government is saying and what the government is doing.
Okay, very quickly, Taiwo, talking about the irony in the entire situation, what legal or constitutional implications do you think that this will have from the government's action spanning to the individual reaction? How would this set a precedent for future treatment of political opponents or activists or even citizens?
Well, currently the antecedent is not right. It's not good. We can't deny that fact. It's not. But if you say that what's the legal implication and the constitutional implication, it even goes beyond those two factors. What is the economic implication? Right now, we have a lot of international persons being arrested amidst the connection to the waving of the Russian flag, which is actually a total insubordination and a breach of our Nigerian sovereignty in the recent of it. But having said that, this will also create an economic drawback in our current situation, because we're going to have a lot of international organizations, we're going to have international companies withdrawing their participation in the country, because who knows who's going to be arrested in the next time. Nobody is assured of it. Who knows the account that is going to be frozen because someone spoke about the end bad governance protest. So who knows? So a lot of things is going to be affected. But having said that, the country must actually still abide by the rule of law. The Constitution states explicitly that citizens have the right to hear their views. It is their constitutional right to protest. It is for the government to find criminal elements who would want to hijack this protest, who have any criminal intention and tendencies, to pick them up, arrest them, and prosecute them. But if that is not done, if innocent Nigerians who are advocating for a good country, if innocent Nigerians who are protesting for a better country, if good-meaning citizens who are protesting against bad governance are being arrested in all over the country, then it's going to create a situation where people would actually come out and spurn out their anger in a more dangerous path, which is even more fearful that the government do not understand today. Look at the attack on pressmen. Look at the attack on your own newsmen on ground in Ojota. Look at the attack on different newsmen in different states of the federation. Look at the attacks on innocent protesters. I tell you that this is a dangerous this is a dangerous plight, and this is a dangerous approach by the government. And if this is not meddled down in the shortest period of time, we might have a critical situation beyond our hands.
All right, Taiwo Osanyin, Policy Implementation Consultant, thank you so much for joining us and giving your 2 cents on this matter. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.